What is up, guys? So we are currently 12 episodes into the 22 long episode season of Arrow Season 7, and yet we do not know who the main villain is. Every season has its own main villain. This was a little bit changed in Season 6, which is why I always say there is not really 2 seasons in 6 and 7. There are 3 between episodes 1 and 15 of Season 6. That's one pretty mediocre, actually kind of bad season with Caden James as the main villain, but then the season turns around between episode 15 or 16 really and episode 7 of season 7 with Diaz as the main villain after Diaz, spoiler alert, kills Caden James, which is why I feel like that's a completely separate season, and it's a pretty good season at that. Now we have between episode 8 of season 7 and episode 22 of season 7 a completely different season, although for me it kind of starts with episode 10 because episode 8 just feels like an epilogue to the season 7 that I just created, and then episode 9 is the crossover, so the season really starts with episode 10, so that's going to be a 12 episode long season between episode 10 and 12, but we do not know who the main villain is. In this video, I will go over who I think the main villain will be in the next 10 episodes of the season. There are a couple candidates, but I really think there is one main villain who is the main antagonist of what this is, which is basically the 8th season of Arrow. The first character who could maybe be the main villain of the season, the character that I really want to see the least out of everybody in this video, is Ricardo Diaz. Ricardo Diaz's actor, Kirk Acevedo, he was a recurring character in Season 6. He was really a guest star for the most part, but here in Season 7, he's actually a series regular. This might mean that he will be the main villain of the season, which is what I expected back when Season 7 was beginning, but now we're seeing he is taking a different turn. He's actually joined the Suicide Squad with Diggle and Lila and the rest of what they're calling the Ghost Initiative, which is just a revamped and renamed Suicide Squad, but it doesn't seem like he will be returning as the main villain, and I really hope he doesn't, because while I like that version of Season 7 between episode 16 of Season 6 and episode 7 of Season 7, I really do not want Ricardo Diaz to return. I don't think he was a great villain. I just think that whenever he was in that season was a lot better than Caden James. He still was not an incredible villain, so I think also his arc and his storyline with Oliver was completely ended very well also with Season 7 episode 7. So now going forward, it seems like he will exclusively be a member of the Suicide Squad, which I don't mind. I just really hope he does not return as a main villain, but since he is the series regular, it is definitely still possible. Another possibility are the Longbow Hunters, the villains that I actually expected them to be the main villains of this season before the season started. I was very interested in seeing how they would be the main villains, but after watching them in Season 7, they're just horrible. They're terrible characters. I mean, from what we've seen them, they're incredibly boring. The actors aren't very good, and one of them is not even a villain in the comics in Silencer, and Kodiak, he has nothing about him except for a shield. Red Dart just shoots darts, so I don't know why they haven't returned in quite a while. Maybe they just left the show. Maybe the people behind the show realized that what they did was kind of boring, you know, with the Longbow Hunters, so they're like, they don't really need to return after episode 7 of Season 7 when Ricardo Diaz was taken down by Oliver. I don't know what they're doing with these characters, and I expected them to be the main villains of Season 7. I was kind of excited for those characters, but after seeing them in Season 7, they're really bad, and I don't think they will be returning this season. They might as like in a fight or maybe working with an organization or the actual main villain of the season, but in terms of being the main villains of the season, they definitely would not work. I mean, they're literally just assassins. They would not have good motivation. It's not like they hate Green Arrow or anything, and the actors behind them are not good. Like what we've seen them in Season 7, they're not good, and they definitely would not hold the season as the main villains, so I don't think the Longbow Hunters are going to be the villains of the next 10 episodes of the season, and I really hope they aren't. The next character who could possibly be the main villain is a villain we're going to see in the next episode, meaning episode 13 of Arrow Season 7, and that is the Star City Slayer, aka Stanley Dover. This is a character who was given a lot of development over the course of the first 7 episodes of this season while Oliver was in prison. They was given a connection to Oliver Queen and a pretty good motivation, which is he feels betrayed by Oliver Queen because he thought Oliver was his friend, and then episode 7 we see Oliver completely beating him up, and it seems like to me Stanley definitely feels betrayed by that whole thing, and he either wants to take revenge on Oliver, or, like I said in my trailer breakdown for the next episode, he might want to try to prove to Oliver that what he's doing, the people he's killing deserve to be killed, and he is a good guy, a superhero really, or a hero, just like Oliver is. That could be a very good dynamic between Stanley and Oliver. They definitely have a good dynamic in the first 7 episodes of the season, but I don't think he could be a good main villain just because he's not really a physical threat at all. It's not like he knows how to fight. I mean, in episode 13 we see that he is a threat just because he's like spooky and he's sneaking around, and Team Arrow is caught by surprise for the most part, but like getting into a fight with Oliver, that won't really be much of a fight at all. Oliver will take him out pretty easily. I mean, the only conflict here is that Oliver sees him as a friend and he doesn't really want to hurt him, but what we saw in episode 7, Oliver doesn't really care about Stanley anymore. We saw him beat up Stanley back then, so I don't think this would really work as a main villain for the next 10 episodes. It might work as a recurring villain or a 2-parter villain. That's definitely something that could happen, and I think it might actually happen with episode 13 and possibly 14, but as the main antagonist of this season, I just do not see it. But really, who the main villains are, in my opinion, they're going to be a organization, a very new group of villains from the Green Arrow comics, the Ninth Circle. The Ninth Circle is described as an international criminal organization and bank whose board of directors are corrupt executives from varying multinational corporations who wear masks to conceal their identities. They wear these red, very long and creepy masks, and they originated in 2016 with Green Arrow Rebirth #1, and they were the main villains for a very long time in the Green Arrow comics, which those comics were my favorite comics at the time. Well, what's to say that the Ninth Circle will be the main villains of the season, or will be even appearing? There are 2 things that suggest they will be. One is Amico, or Amico Queen. Amico Queen in the comics was actually a member of the Ninth Circle, along with her mother, Shadow, before joining Green Arrow's side and becoming the Red Arrow. It's possible that in this season, Amico Queen will be revealed to be a member of the Ninth Circle and be a villain herself, or maybe she's a former member of the Ninth Circle and then she has reformed already. Maybe that's where she got all her training about how to shoot a bow and arrow and how to fight from the Ninth Circle. But also the real thing that gives away the fact that they're going to be the main villains is from Diggle's storyline with the Ghost Initiative or the Suicide Squad. It seems like that he's tracking down a guy named Dante. In the comics, there are a couple characters named Dante. There is a Young Justice villain named Dante from the comics. There is Cisco Ramon's brother, Dante Ramon, who we have seen on The Flash. But there is only one Green Arrow villain and character named Dante, and that is Dante, the leader of the Ninth Circle. The Ninth Circle are definitely going to play a major role in this season. It seems like they're also going to be playing a major role in the future as well, with Renee working for them as well. But what I think is going to happen here with the Ninth Circle is, since they're not really a physical threat, they're just really a threat in the background, really controlling a lot of what's going on, and they're very corrupt businessmen. But since they're not really a physical threat, what's going to happen, in my opinion, is that basically every candidate for who could be the main villain of the season in this video will probably become or will be working for the Ninth Circle in the end, meaning Ricardo Diaz, the Longbow Hunters, the Star City Slayer, maybe even the rest of the Suicide Squad, and possibly even Amico Queen will all be working for the Ninth Circle in the end, fighting Team Arrow. That definitely could work as a great physical threat for the end, and a great thing that Green Arrow needs to take down by the end of the season. And I do think that out of all the characters in this video, this is the one I want to see the most, as this will be a new villain, and he's really the only villains that would work, and we would get to see all of these other villains working together under the Ninth Circle. I mean, just think about it. Ricardo Diaz, Kodiak, Silencer, Red Dart, the Star City Slayer, China White, Joe Wilson, as well as Cupid, all working for the Ninth Circle against Team Arrow. That would be an incredible fight for the end of the season, and I do think that the Ninth Circle could definitely be formidable foes for Team Arrow in this season. There are only 10 episodes left, but they can definitely make a solid main villain in the next 10 episodes. But what do you guys think? Who do you think should be the main villain of the next 10 episodes of Season 7? Let me know in the comments down below, as well as in the poll in the top right corner of the video. Also, in the comments, let me know why you think they've waited so long in this season to reveal who the main villain is. I think they did the same thing in Season 6, kind of, with Diaz, but at least there was this other antagonist that we were rooting against for those entire episodes, while in Season 7, it's really just Diaz for the first 7 episodes, and after that, between episode 8 and now, we don't know who the main villain is. Let me know in the comments down below, why do you think they did that? And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.